I mean, one team that did sack their manager was Aston Villa. Aston Villa 4-0 Brentford. What do we think Steven Gerrard was doing at the weekend? When this result came through, JJ, where did you imagine Stevie G being?
Liverpool.
Yeah?
He's always Liverpool. When he was at Rangers, he was always in Liverpool.
Like a nice bar, cafe.
I don't know,
cafe bar.
Just probably at home with his family, to be honest. I mean, that's
a nice idea.
I guess that's what he does.
That's nice.
But in a pub with Graham Souness.
Reacting to this result?
Yeah.
Watching Soccer Saturday. Anyway, yes?
Well, Steven Gerrard had a very defined style of play at Rangers, which was informed almost entirely by Michael Beale, who was doing very well at QPR and just turned the Wolves job down. Michael Beale...
and the Villa job, wasn't it?
Yeah, he turned the Villa job down as well. Yeah, Michael Beale he kens his tatties, which means he knows his potatoes. And he is doing very well at QPR. But waiting for his time to kind of shine. Gerrard has the star appeal, attracts players. Obviously, people want to play with him. They want to be coached by him because he's one of the best players the Premier League's ever had. One of the best players in Europe, like of his generation, certainly. But his team at Aston Villa, I mean, it's a hard job to take on because the expectations are so high and they're kind of limited to what they did. They spent a lot of money on players. The key ones that they've signed are not available. They're injured, so that's a real problem. Like Diego Carlos, that was a big signing. Defender is going to make them much better, much more reliable, to basically replace Tyrone Mings in the lineup. Mings has made about 2 mistakes in the last 3 weeks that have cost them goals. And you see that's the kind of thing that might make a big difference. So maybe if he just force quit the game and started again, he might be able to get better results and they'd be better up the table.
Is that Football Manager? Reference?
I was thinking I might start with the Aston Villa game this season. Yeah, I've got the beta for Football Manager. Anyway, but here, so the shape he plays, or the structure is always a 4-3-2-1. So like teams tend to the trend, or like just what everyone kind of does, is whatever shape you play, you end up in something like a 2-3-5 or a 3-2-5 in your attacking shape. It's what you end up. And it's all to do with like where do you want to win the ball back, where do you want to create from. Where do you think the most valuable places to score are from, and what players do you have? What can you do with them? Gerrard has an all-right team. Like that's a mid-table team, I'd say he's got at Aston Villa. But he was playing them in that 4-3-2-1 with two narrow players behind the striker. They're meant to go wide, and then they rely on all the width coming from the fullbacks. It's the same thing they did at Rangers. It's one of the reasons at Rangers you had Barisic has provided more assists than any human has ever done, and James Tavernier was top scorer by about 80 goals. Because they were always feeding each other from crosses to deep the back post, relying on the width from those players there, and then the other players at the top that were working around. Then you've got your three that protect the two behind them. The two very much the central defenders, don't have to be able to do too much special with it. And the three would work to win the ball back and keep them up the pitch. And it's kind of... This Villa team is boring to watch. I think it's really boring. You did a thing for us on
I did do a thing, and I pretty much said that for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But in fairness, Aaron Danks comes in, he gets 2 days, changes the formation, and boom, everything's fine.
A simple, like basic previous meta FM formation of a 4-2-3-1. You play the two wide players wide, and you've got Leon Bailey, great winger. You play him wide, he can come inside his right foot. You play Buendia through the middle, who's
That's the one.
A great player. Coutinho's
Just
not in the team.
Just do that.
I like Buendia as well.
Could have just done that, Stevie.
Yeah.
Carry on.
And then Watkins plays wide right, but you can get in the middle because then you get Matty Cash overlapping. Just very basic things they've done here. Did not expect a 4-0 against Brentford, but
dare I say, Stevie probably was hoping to play Brentford at home. I don't know, for a new manager, not new manager bounce, but a managerless side, that's a decent fixture.
I mean, so much of it is accidental and luck, and you need things to go your way sometimes. But what I'd often seen under Gerrard was that, maybe you agree with the research you did for this, was that he depends on individuals to create things for him rather than the system creating things itself. So he gives his players a bit of a cushion to allow for turnovers and stuff like that, but he tries to keep it quite quiet. And you would often have only 4 players in the attacking third. When he played the diamond with 2 up top, like playing that one quite a lot as well. They didn't really create anything that was that fantastic. It was very rigid, not an awful lot of movement, just relying on big players to create things. And I'm not saying this is at all what Gerrard's doing, but I mean, he was an amazing player. And it's not always that those players are able to get across the things that they instinctively did that made them so good. And then if you try and coach them on the training ground, you can make them form their own solutions to certain situations. But when it comes to actual games, if you don't have the players of the likes of Liverpool and Man City, then those things don't happen. Those individual bits of magic don't happen. It's like Real Madrid won the Champions League playing a very, what's the word? Not diplomatic. What's the word when you
Dogmatic?
No,
Pragmatic.
Pragmatic
Doesn't begin
approach.
with D. That was
Right.
forward from the start.
Got amazing
Nemanja
players.
Matic.
Yeah. Nemanja Matic. And they don't have to have all the ball, but they win with moments of absolute magic from individual players that we're relying on. And Gerrard often says, I need more from these individuals, you need them to step up and deliver. But if they're not being given the platform to score those things, it just falls apart. And the Villa fans clearly lost their connection with him at some point along the way.
Was there Steve sneezing in the middle of there? I hope that audio came through. All right. Expect that rate of improvement to continue for Villa. Is the only logical assumption.
8-0 next week.
Yeah, well, maybe just one goal at a time. Leon Bailey was absolutely delighted. Listening to him after the game, he's like, expect big things now. We've got loads of freedom. Off we go. So there you go, Leon. Do that.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Daniel Taylor, Ollie Kay, Amy Lawrence and Rafa Honigstein. There are journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.